Welcome back to another paycheck breakdown video. If you're new here, my name is Allison. I'm 28 years old. I work full-time in healthcare and I also do content creation on the side. I post a lot of videos about personal finances, my own debt payoff journey, as well as some content creation and lifestyle videos as well. So if any of that is interesting to you, feel free to subscribe and follow along. But let's get into today's video. I love making these videos. I feel like, I don't know, I just think they're really fun and they also help keep me accountable as well as just, I think, are interesting to other people and how I budget my money. I started doing these videos on TikTok, but I like doing the long form because I get to explain a little more like why I chose certain numbers when I budget. So starting off, I always go over what my income was for this pay period. I get paid bi-weekly, so I do get paid twice a month. Well, every other week. So there are a couple months I get paid 3 times, which is next month, so that's exciting. This is the paycheck for April 19th. This is an exciting breakdown because I did get one of my bonuses this month. So this paycheck is a lot higher than what my normal paycheck is, so bear with me with that. But it's also interesting to see, I think this will be an interesting way to show, like, even with getting extra money, like how I'm budgeting that as well. So my income from my salary for my job was $4,370, which is crazy. That's about $2,000 more than what my normal paycheck is. And then I also include usually the money that I had left in my checking account, which was about $105. So I add those together and that's kind of the number that I use to budget out anything that I need for the next 2 weeks. Okay, starting off, as always, I start with my rent because that is obviously an expense that I need to pay every month. And I use my 2 paychecks from April to pay for my May rent. My total rent is only $850, we're very lucky. So last paycheck I saved $250, so this paycheck I had to save $600 for my rent. But I also kind of knew, the way I broke it down, usually I just split it pretty evenly, but the way I broke it down this time was I kind of knew I was getting my bonus this paycheck, and also the way the weeks fell this time, my car insurance and car payment were due in the same paycheck, which normally they're broken up, which helps split up the bigger expenses. So I just broke it up a little bit differently this time, but it worked out. So I saved $600 for my rent, and then I had my very last tuition payment. I'm going back to school to get my master's degree in healthcare administration. I've been paying for that as I go because I calculated like what my tuition payment was gonna be every semester, and I was like, you know what, I can save this amount of money every paycheck right now because of my situation and my bills, etc. So I'm going to do that instead of taking out any future loans because I didn't want any more student loans. So it's been working out pretty well for me. I did have to save a little bit more than usual this paycheck because this is my last semester and they throw in a graduation fee, which is super annoying. So I did save $500 for my school tuition payment. I just paid it today, so it is completely done and it's paid. So I don't have to do that anymore. So that frees up a good amount of extra money for me every month, which is amazing. That hurt because that was a lot of money, but it's done, so I don't have to worry about that anymore. Then I also put $200 into my savings account. I am trying to still save money as I am trying to pay off my debt, because I feel like a lot of people kind of have issues with this when I mention it in some of my other platforms, but you can still want to save to like buy a house when you have like a car loan, in my opinion. I don't know, I just think as long as I'm still able to make my car payment, and honestly I pay a little bit more, and all my other debts I pay a little bit more, I can still save. Like, buying a house is very important to me and I want to do it within the next like year or so. So I need to start saving now so that I can buy a house while also still paying off my debt. I don't know. That's just how I'm looking at it. Like, I know some people are really like, I want to be debt-free as soon as I possibly can, and that's fine. I just know that I'm not willing to sacrifice also not saving for a house, if that makes sense. So I did put $200 into my high yield savings account. And then the next section, this did kind of hurt because Obviously, I would like to use my bonus to pay off some of my debts or put into a savings account, but I do have a couple more bonuses coming later in the year. So I knew that this one had to be used for the wedding. We are getting married in 2 months, so everything is starting to get to the point where things are being due. So I did use almost all of the I used all of the bonus money to put towards the wedding. I saved $2,150 for wedding related things, but that puts us right on the right track, and we'll almost, I think, everything paid for except for maybe like just a little bit of the honeymoon. So that feels good, and I knew I had to do that. But obviously putting all of my money, my bonus money, towards the wedding was sad, but it also feels like a relief. We are going to be able to have a really nice wedding without having to go into debt, and we're going to have a really nice day, and it's going to be fun, and I'm very happy that we're able to do it and in the position where we can. So as much as that hurt, it's worth it. It will be worth it. I did put $2,150 into our earn account for our wedding. Next, I put $100 into my Roth IRA. Again, some people, aka like Dave Ramsey, will say stop investing anything when you're trying to pay off debt. I don't think that that's a good idea, especially when I'm young, because that's the whole point. You want to invest as young as you can, because that's how, when you invest younger, there's like the compound interest, all that stuff. It sits in the account longer, it grows more, and even like $100 isn't that much to be putting away, but it's something, and I want to start doing it as early as I can so that I am setting myself up for the future. That's just me. Again, that's just me personally. I like to at least put a little bit away, that way I feel like I'm contributing. Then I did put $150 into our grocery account. We just have a separate account that we use for groceries. Every paycheck we both put money into this account and use it for the next 2 weeks for groceries and like other things like toilet paper, paper towels, those kinds of things for the house. The next category is subscriptions. I'll usually take a look at the next 2 weeks, see what subscriptions are going to be due during this time. So for this 2 weeks, I'm budgeting about $45 for my subscriptions, and I'll go through them with you. The first one is my Blink subscription. We have a couple cameras for around the house, just to, one, keep an eye on the cats, and two, I don't know, it just makes me feel a little bit safer to have a few cameras just in case, God forbid, anything happens. But I do have to pay a subscription for that, which is $10.63. Then my Amazon Prime is $7.49. I do have the student discount for that because I am going back to school for my master's. Spotify, $5.99. Again, I think that is a student discount rate. My Kindle subscription is $11.99. It's just crazy how everything has a subscription now. But the math for that works out because I think if you read a certain amount of books per month on the Kindle, like $11.99 works out instead of buying the books. So I'm okay with that. We're gonna see how that goes for a little bit. Maybe I'll cancel that one, I'm not totally sure, and just like, if I'm only reading like one book a month, I think they're cheaper on the Kindle, I'm not really sure. Then I have a Canva subscription because I use it for content creation, and that I pay $14.99. I probably will keep that. I don't know, it's tough because I use very limited features on there, but I ended up, because you can use it for free, but I think there was a couple things that I wanted to use that were on the pro version. But again, we'll see, because obviously if I wasn't spending $15 every month on that, that would save me money. But and then I pay $7.99 for Hulu with ads, because Hulu was getting insane. I think I was at one point, like, I think it started at like $11.99 when I first started for no ads, and then it went up to like $17 and something cents for Hulu without ads, and that's insane. Like, no thank you, I will pay for ads. And then I always take a look too at, I have all like pet stuff on auto deliver, so I have cat litter and cat food that comes every couple weeks, but they come on opposite weeks, so one's every 2 weeks and one's every 3 weeks. So the only thing getting delivered this pay period is cat litter, and that's $33, so I budget that as well. I include everything because I need to be very, very specific. I did put $100 towards our honeymoon, and then $195 towards my credit card. Again, I'm hoping that next month I will be able to put a lot more toward my credit card because I'm not paying for school anymore. And also, yeah, obviously I would have liked to put more of this bonus money towards my credit card and just like get rid of it. But it is at a 0% interest rate currently until the end of the year. So I'm just focusing on what needs to be paid and then slowly chipping away at that as I need to. I did not put anything towards my student loans this time either because, again, like, I didn't have a payment due, but also I wanted to focus on, like, I knew this stuff for the wedding needed to be budgeted for. But I don't know if I mentioned this in any of my videos on here yet. I did pay $3,000 towards my student loans, I think last week, because I got paid out from TikTok. I had a pretty viral video on TikTok, so I got a big payout from them. I used all that money to put towards my student loans, so I do only owe $2,000 left on my student loans, and then my tuition's paid off, so I'm so freaking close to being done with those. So again, hopefully, I don't know what I'll decide to do. Maybe I'll just start putting everything towards that and like waiting on the credit card to pay one thing off completely instead of like, I feel like I keep doing like splitting it and paying them both off slowly, where I could just like put everything towards one and pay it off and then focus on the next one. So we'll see what happens. I'll have to figure out what I want to do. That's where we're at. And then when you add all of that up, that comes to $4,124. And then I'll subtract that from my income and what I had in my checking account, and that leaves me with about $351 for the next 2 weeks, which should be plenty of money. I mean, again, things happen and unexpected costs come up, like getting a flat tire, because that did happen to me. But yeah, I usually like to leave myself around that much because that's like the money that I'll use for gas. And I don't know if I do let myself get a coffee, because I'm not trying to be miserable, like I will get a coffee, but I don't get coffees that much, I will say. Typically it's like maybe on the weekend or like a Friday. That's what I use that money for, and I do drive a lot for work, so I budget roughly, out of that, I budget roughly $160 for gas. And we do typically eat out like once within those 2 weeks, so I don't know, I feel like that's a decent budget. Obviously everyone has their own opinions and everyone has preferences on like what is more important to them, and I get a lot of comments on like, well, why would you even have a wedding if you're in debt, and why this and why that and why this and why that. In the grand scheme of things, yeah, sure. I have $2,000 of student loans, $2,000 of credit card debt, and like $17,000 car loan. That is very average and normal for like someone my age, I feel like. That I'm not gonna like deprive myself of having a wedding or, again, saving for a house if I want to, because I'm in a very average situation and I can still afford to make the payments of everything plus more. Based on my calculations, I should have everything paid off within, I would say, maybe a year and a half. I could have everything paid off while also still saving and having a wedding. So to me, it's like, why am I depriving myself of these things that are part of life when it might just push me off a little bit on my debt payoff? But I don't know. That's just how I look at it. I think that people need to have a bigger perspective on these kinds of things, where sure, paying off your debt is awesome and a great feeling and this and that, but life is so much more important than being debt-free. Like, sure, that feels great, but I think there needs to be more of a community of people who are smart with their money and are working on getting their finances in a better situation, but are also still having fun and enjoying life, because you literally only live once. It's corny, it's cheesy, but you do. And I don't want to deprive myself of certain, experiences or milestones in life to like bear down and focus on paying off my debt. I don't know. That's just my opinion. That is my paycheck breakdown for this pay period. Very different than my usual ones, but very exciting as well. Thank you guys so much for watching, and we'll see you guys in the next video.